Welcome back everyone to part 2 on our how to make a mini games game series. If you haven't watched episode 1, go make sure to watch that. In that episode, we make the round system and a few other things, so make sure to watch that before watching this video. For this episode, we're going to be making an AFK system, and we're also going to be making our first mini game, which will be a lava rising mini game where players will go through an obby while lava rises. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add a folder into server storage, and I'll be calling it mini games. This is where we'll store all of our mini games. The next thing is I'm going to add a few lines of code to our already existing GameHandler script. I'm just going to at the top make a variable called minigames, which will equal to our folder. The next thing I'm going to do is use the _g variable, and inside of the global table I'm going to make a variable called game status, which is going to be equal to our game status string value. And I'm also going to do the same thing for our teleport function. So if you've never seen this _g in scripts before, all it is it's a table that's shared across scripts of the same context level, which all this means is if you're adding values to this table from a server script, you'll only be able to access that value with another server script. Same thing if you're using a local script. And now with that done, we can make our first minigame. So I'm going to make the map for the minigame by adding a folder into workspace, and I'll call it game model. And inside this folder is going to be all the parts related to this lava rising minigame. So I'm going to add some parts and build a quick map for our game. So what I've made here is I've made a little obby for the players to try to get to the top. I've made a lava part that I've called lava, and this will be the part that will keep rising and rising. Here's a spawn point, which is where all the players will spawn, and I called it spawn point. And then the last thing is there's a rise position part, which I just copied the lava and then brought it up to where I wanted the lavas to stop. So wherever you have this rise position part is where the lava will stop once it's finished rising. If you wanted, you can totally make a better looking game than this, and you can make it taller and longer, but this is what I have right now, so we can actually do the scripting for it. So now I'm going to actually start scripting this mini game. First, I'm going to add a module script into the mini games folder, and I'll just call mine lava rising. And then next, I'm just going to rename this to mini game, and now I'm going to make a function for our mini game. And also that game model that we made, we're going to need to parent it to the lava rising module script. And now that we've done that, I'm going to make a variable that's equal to the game model folder. And I'm also going to write out a few variables which will be used for making the lava rise and how much time it's going to take and stuff like that. So these variables that I've made right here is, first we have a variable called rise time and rise delay. This is how much time it will take for the lava to completely rise from bottom to the top, and this is the delay that will happen before the lava rises, so giving the players just a little bit of time to start going before the lava keeps rising. And then down here I just have the tween service, and I made a new tween info, which later in our function we're gonna make a tween, and we're gonna have to use this tween info. And in the tween info we use the rise time, which is how long it'll take to complete the tween, some easing styles and easing direction, which these just change. You can change these if you want. And then this right here is how much times it will repeat. I want it to repeat 0 times because it's just gonna go from the bottom to the top. And then the reverses value, which I don't want it to reverse, I want it to stay at the top once it's finished. And then this is the delay, so it will wait however many seconds rise delay is set to before it plays the tween. Now for our running game function, there's going to be 4 main parts for this. We're going to have a setup game part, then we're going to need to start the game, we're going to need to count down while the game is currently running, and we're also going to need to end the game and say who the winners are. So to set up the game, we're just going to clone the game model and put it into workspace. And then next we're going to connect the lava part to a function, so whenever it gets touched, it will kill the players. And next I'm going to connect the lava to a function, so whenever it gets touched, it will kill whoever touched it. I'm first going to have to make a function down here, and then we'll connect it to the touched event. So this is our function. We first check to see if there's a humanoid in the parent of the thing that touched the lava, and then if there is a humanoid, we just set its health to 0. Now, when the lava part gets touched, I'm going to make the function. So now when the lava gets touched, our lava touched function will run. Next thing to do to set up the game is we're going to need to make the rise tween, which is just going to be the tween that will make the part go from the bottom to the top. So for the tween that we created, we first give it the argument of the lava part, because this is the part that we actually want to tween. And then we give it the rise info, which we've already made all the way up here. And then lastly, we change the C-frame of our lava part to the C-frame of the rise position part. So at the end of the tween, the lava part will be in the exact same position as the rise position part's position. So now we can start the game. If you remember, we added the teleport players to the global table, and now we can use that function. So you can see right here, we access the global table, and then we use the teleport function, and we just give it the C-frame of the spawn point. So all the players will now be teleported to the spawn of our game. And lastly, we can now just play the rise tween, so the lava will start rising. But remember, it will wait 3 seconds before it rises, because once this plays, it will take into account the rise delay time that we gave it. Now we can make the countdown, so while the lava starts rising, we can count down how much time is left before the game ends. So you can see in our for loop that I made the countdown equal to the rise time and the rise delay, because this is the time it's going to take for the lava to get to the top. And now for the last part of our minigame, I want to print out all the people who survived, but I can't do that unless I first make a folder in Workspace, and I call it in-game. And any player who's currently playing the game or is alive, they're going to be in this in-game folder. And to make sure that any players who are getting teleported to the game are put into this folder, in our teleport players function, I'm going to add an argument, and I'm going to make it called toGame. So now if the player is being teleported to a game, we are going to parent their character to the in-game folder. So now if the toGame value is true, they'll be parented to the in-game folder. But if they're being teleported back to the lobby, then I want to put them back in the workspace. So now anybody who is in the game will be put in the in-game folder, and if they've died or if they're getting teleported back, they'll just automatically be put back into the workspace. So we can go back to our rise lava function, and at the end of the game, we can get a variable for anyone who is in the in-game folder, which is all the survivors. I've also made some text for all the winners, but there's no one currently in this text, so we first have to go through each of the winners and add their name to the text. So you can see that I changed the end text to itself, and then I also add the player name on to it, and I also add a space just so when there's multiple winners, they won't be crammed together. Now we can make the game status value equal to the text of all the winners. And I'm also just going to wait 3 seconds so we can see who all the winners were, and then destroy the game model. So this right here is our entire minigame, but now we need to actually implement it, so it will choose a random minigame, and then the minigame will play. So I'm going to go into the GameHandler script, and under the Choose Minigame section, I'm going to make the game status value equal to some text saying that the minigame is being chosen. And now I'm going to make a variable equal to the minigame that has been chosen. So right here, it will select a random minigame inside the minigames folder. And now we can add some text saying that that minigame has been chosen. So now it'll say it's choosing the minigame, then it'll actually choose the minigame, then it'll change the value to whatever the name of the minigame is, and say that it's been chosen. Now we actually need to make the minigame run, and to do that, I'm actually just going to delete this because I don't want too much text and too much waiting time. And all we're going to do is we're first going to require the module, and then use the run function that's in the module. So right here you can see that we require the module, and then once we have the required module, we can use the run game function that we put inside of it. So before testing your game, make sure that in the GameHandler, make sure in your Lava Rising script, when you use the teleport function, that you add a second argument that's true. So when the teleport function is teleporting all the players, if the toGame function is true, then it will teleport all the players to the in-game folder, which will allow us to see who won the game and who didn't. And the next thing is, first make sure that your rise position part is not collidable. Make sure that can collide is equal to false, because if it's true, then players will not be able to reach the top because they'll have a big part in their way blocking them from reaching the top. But with that said, we can put this back in the module and run our game. So you can see that the intermission's going and it's choosing a game, and Lava Rising has been chosen. So now we can get to the top. We have 30 seconds to get to the top. I forgot how much, but we're going, and now we've made it. So now we've made it to the top, and we can see that the lava's rising. So we can see that it stopped right at the top, and the winners are Cozy Coin, which is me. End of game, and the intermission restarts. And also to show you that the kill part will kill me, I'll let the game run again, and I'll just jump straight into the lava. There we go. So now we can make the AFK system. If you look down below the video, I'll provide a link to a simple AFK GUI, because I just want to focus on scripting this video, and you can design the UI how you'd like. I just made one, but if you want to change the way it looks, that's totally fine. Just go to the link and get the model and insert it into your game, and then bring this down to the starter GUI, and you should have this in your game. And for scripting, I'm going to add a script inside of the AFK screen GUI, and I'll be calling it AFK GUI. So first, I'm going to get a variable to the local player, and then I'm going to add a folder inside of replicated storage called events, and I'm going to put the AFK event inside of it. And next, I'm going to add a folder inside of replicated storage, and then I'm going to add a remote event called AFK mode. And I'm also going to call the folder events, which this is the folder that the remote event will go in. So now that we have this, I'm going to write a few more variables out. So the first variable we have here is the event we just created. The next one is the button, which you can see right here inside of our screen GUI. We have a button, and this is the button right here. And inside that button, we have a AFK status, which is this text right here, saying if the AFK mode is off or on. And we have a variable for that right here called AFK status label. So the first thing we're going to have in this script is once the AFK button is activated, it will fire the AFK event. So this is it right here. AFK button gets activated, and then it'll just fire the event. The next part is we're going to need to detect if the AFK mode got switched on the player, and then correctly color and change the text to off or on. So you can see this function that we have right here is once the player gets the attribute AFK changed, we're going to run this right here. And what this is right here is we make a variable of true or false if the AFK mode is enabled or not. And if it is enabled, then we change the text to on and give it a nice green color. And if it's not, then we change it to off and give it a red color. So this is it for the client side, but we actually need to make the server side, so when this event fires, the game will change their mode to AFK, so then all this will actually run. To do that, I'll be adding a script inside of server script service, and I'll be calling it AFK handler. This script is actually really short. First, we're going to need a variable to the event. And then we're going to make it when the AFK event is fired. We're going to set the attribute of the player's AFK mode to on or off, depending on if they had it enabled or not. So this is our whole script right here. Once the event's fired, we first get a variable to see if they're AFK or not, and then we set their attribute of AFK to the opposite of whatever AFK was already set to. So if it was true, it's now false, and if it was false, it's gonna now be true. So we can go test this out. If we go run our game, we can see that it says off, and if we click it, it switches to on, off. And if we go into the players section and click on our player, we scroll down to attributes, we can see that AFK is enabled, and if we click it, AFK is disabled, and we can keep switching it on or off. But as you can see, once we have it enabled, it says it's enabled and everything looks good, but obviously we still get teleported into the game. So we're gonna work on that now, so no one with the AFK feature will be teleported. So this part's actually really simple. Just go into your teleport script and just make a check to see if the AFK attribute is true, and if it is, then just skip on to the next person. So yeah, this is it right here. We just check to see if the attribute is true, and if it is, we just continue on to the next person. And we'll keep doing that for every player who's trying to be teleported. So we can go test it out. We can see that the intermission's on. We can turn on AFK and just wait. So it's choosing the game, and there it is. There's the game. We're still at the lobby because we have AFK mode enabled, and the lava's just going to keep rising. And to show that it can be disabled again, we can just disable it and wait for the intermission to go, and we can see that we are now teleported back to the game. This is the end for this episode. If you have any suggestions on what we could add to this series, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'm planning on making more episodes after this. If you have any other ideas for videos, then leave those down in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you